Before you learn to play eighth notes, you're going to need to learn a new picking technique called the upstroke, which is exactly what it sounds like. So please take a moment to learn about the two surfaces and two edges of the pick in this video. Observe exactly how my pick hits the strings on the familiar downstroke that you already know, and then on this new move, the upstroke. Let's take a moment, and I'm going to go to a close-up shot so that we can really get a good look at that. So before I demonstrate the downstroke technique here on the D string of the mandolin, since you can see it a little better, let's talk about these surfaces. I've got camera 2 on here. So first of all, the surfaces are the big flat areas that look like triangles that you can see, the surfaces. The edges would be that edge of the triangle and that edge. The edges are like, you know, really thin, millimeter, 1 millimeter, 1.5 millimeter picks usually. So the edge is this side area. The surfaces are going to be the top surface underneath your thumb and the bottom surface that's facing the floor underneath your finger. And when I talk about the edges, the left edge and the right edge, this is from your view. So if you look down at your pick right now, the left edge is the one closer to the headstock and the right edge is closer to the bridge, right? So there's just the flat surface of your pick hitting the D string. And I remind you that we're at a 45-degree angle where we can land on that string as I demonstrated in book 1. So there we are. And the problem with an upstroke with this, if we're just leaning the pick there and using the full bottom surface, as you can see, is that the pick will get stuck on the way up. And it doesn't work. On the way down, it's really easy due to the angle. On the way up, it makes it really hard. So here's one option. We could go down at a 45-degree angle and then flip to the opposite 45-degree angle and go up. And we don't do that, by the way. That's the wrong example, but it is an option. It's great, but it does not scale to the tempos that we need to play downs and ups in, eighth notes or 16th notes. So don't do that. That's the wrong example. But if we only use the surfaces, we're stuck. We are going to get stuck in there. So here's the solution. Let's go to those edges, the left edge close to the headstock, the right edge close to the bridge. And what we're going to do is get a new angle involved. Trying to do this against the camera here. So if this is a clock face, by the way, this rosette, then the pick is facing 12 o'clock right now when it's going straight up. And I'd recommend that you switch it from 12 o'clock straight up and down to 1 o'clock. I'll do it one more time. So 12 o'clock is straight up and down. It's kind of hard with this camera. There we go. Okay. And then 1 o'clock would be a little bit that way. So it goes from straight right there, and that's 90 degrees. Here's 45. Really doesn't matter. I'm just going to stick at 90 to make it really clear which angle I'm referring to. There's 1 o'clock. I actually don't play it that far. I'm just exaggerating a bit to show you. And watch what happens. When you're straight with no clock face turned to 1 o'clock, then your bottom surface is what's hitting the top of that D string. Sorry, let me stick with my D. I habitually do this on the A string. So there we are, leaning on the D, and that means the whole surface hits it. And that's why if we angle, the surface lands on the next string down. However, let's do it if we turn to 1 o'clock a little bit, even exaggerate it. Now the left edge of your pick should be hitting the top of that D string, as you can see here. So you could even think, if you turn it to 3 o'clock, actually, you're going to play the string with the edge, which would be silly, but we do play it with a slight bit of the edge. And so when you go down, keep that angle as you land on the A string. And now observe as you keep that angle. Make sure it's the same angle. Real edge of the left edge of the pick. Take a look at the right edge now. The right edge is positioned such that it can hit the bottom part of the string, or even the lower string down, that other D string, with ease and without changing the pick direction. So down is the left edge, up is the right edge. Down, left, up, right, down, left, up, right. You're looking at my tremolo technique right here, by the way. This is it. Down, and I just get my right edge there. So that is the crucial thing we're doing on mandolin, and it'd be really good to get in on the ground floor with this nice, slow, non-rhythmic way of playing that I'm doing right here. All right, so that's going to be your upstroke technique with the surfaces and the angles. So that's your angles, and for the purposes of this particular course, as well as for most of the music you're going to play, there is one simple universal rule for managing your pick strokes while playing a series of eighth notes. And that is, as I was demonstrating, always play the downstrokes on the downbeats, the numbers. Always play the upstrokes on the upbeats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and is a good example. And before you play along with me right here with this example I just played, let's talk about ghost strokes again. The thing I mentioned, I was demonstrating them, but let me be more explicit. When the notes say down, 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 technically in that first measure, all I have to move my hand and play are three things, the three notes written there. However, here's what I'm really doing with my pick. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So those pick strokes that I was doing that were not making a noise are called ghost strokes informally. And ghost strokes are essential for me to do what I'm able to do because they always keep me attached to the subdivided eighth note grid that is the foundation of what all the rest of the band is doing and how the melody goes no matter what's happening, no matter how simple or complicated, we always have that grid. So this is a handy way in music that actually uses these rules where downbeats are downstrokes, upbeats are upstrokes. This is really good for us, and the ghost strokes are super helpful because it's like the glue that's going to be the rhythm inside of you. It's a little bit of an external of this internal count that we're trying to internalize, this count system. So let's try it together with the ghost strokes. Let's just get our ghost strokes first. You all ready? I hope this angle is good. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Let's play the example now that we've got our count going. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and. So you can practice this new technique and new rhythmic notation in this very simple exercise that I'll play with you. And make sure to be counting, of course. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and next line. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Once more. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3. Number 2 is really cool. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 transforms into 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So number 2 transforms from just quarter notes to subdivided eighth notes. And in number 3, you can practice on your own. You can fill in your own down-up markings. I wouldn't randomly just put D's and U's anywhere. I'd make sure that you have the count underneath and you're accounting for every single eighth note, which means, for example, on the first one, if I may armchair fill out this thing for you, I'd write 1 and under the quarter note and just a D on top of the A to say, okay, we're going to play D, but we're definitely going to count. That way, when we get to beat 2 and have down up, we at least know that what the beat is. The beat 1 was just the down, the beat 2 is the down up. So that's going to be very helpful in the long run if you can account for every eighth note in an eighth note subdivided song.